Good morning, everyone. We are going to give everyone just a couple more minutes to get on, and then Jillian will start in just a few moments. Okay, we're going to go ahead and dive in and get started. My name is Macy Brink, and I am with the IT company. And I have the honor of introducing Jolynn, who will be our presenter today. We have been doing these webinars for a little while now, and every time we walk away with just such awe at her wisdom and her knowledge. And so we're excited for her to bring some information to you guys today on Microsoft Teams Beyond the Basics. Just a couple of notes. I did send out an email with the link to the handout she'll be referring to, but I've also put it into the webinar chat. So if you are not sure where to be looking, look in the webinar chat, and that link is in there for you to pull up as well. And with that, I will hand it over to Jolynn.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Macy, and welcome everyone to our session today. I'm always excited to be talking to people about Microsoft Teams. I feel that more and more people are utilizing Teams, but we don't always use everything or understand everything about it. So what we want to do today is really kind of take you beyond those basics and talk a little bit more about what else does Teams have that we should be aware of as users. So first off, I want to talk about the user interface. So when we talk about Microsoft Teams, they have made, of course, just like all applications, they have made some changes recently. And one of the changes that they had done a little while back was that they actually combined together the chat with Teams. So no longer having the Teams icon on the left-hand side of the navigation bar, they changed it so that you would have to go to chat to access the Teams part of Microsoft Teams. Well, Microsoft got a lot of flack on that, which I was one of them that wasn't real thrilled about that. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew you can change that. The menu bar on the left-hand side is customizable, and I do encourage you to customize it for how you want to be using it. But one of the biggest things is not having the channel, or I'm sorry, the Teams and the chat together. It's much easier if they are separated. Now, if you still have yours combined together, let me show you how you can actually make a change to that. One of the ways, well, I would say the easiest way and the only way, I guess there's no other way. I think there's only one way for this feature, which is unusual for Microsoft. They usually have multiples. But anyway, if you go to the top right of your screen, you can click on the dot menu, the ellipse. Once you're there, you click settings. And you should spend a minute, if you haven't done this already, highly recommend you come into the settings in all of your applications and check out what the defaults are. Just because an application is set up with default settings doesn't mean you have to keep them that way. You want to personalize it for your experience. And one of the big ones is going to be going to the left-hand side, clicking on the category for chats and channels. On the right-hand side, we now have the capability of changing it from being combined to being separate. I don't know about you, but I like mine to be separate. I want Teams and chat separate. They really have nothing to do with each other, and I'm not sure why Microsoft thought they should combine them together, but anyway, you can now separate them. Now, I would personally recommend spending a couple of minutes just really going through each of the categories when you're here in the settings, because there are, like I said, a lot of defaults that may not relate to how you want to be working with things. But as you kind of look down on even just this category alone, how do you want your chats to be displayed? There's a comfy versus a compact. Do you want to, when you open a chat, take me to the last message or the newest message, the last one you were on? So just things like that. Also, when I go to a channel, show recent activities at the top of the window versus the bottom of the window. Those are just some of those little things that we can be changing to make it more convenient for how we want to use the application. Now, since I'm in here, I want to take you to just a couple of other options that I think can be an important thing to understand. And one of those is definitely notifications and activity. In that category, on the right-hand side, you're going to see that you can have it play a sound. I don't always like sound depending on your environment that you're working in, but the display options, when you get a notification that comes in, by default, it was always at the bottom right. But did you know you can actually change it? Because what if you don't like it at the bottom right? You don't notice it as much. You want it to be located someplace else. You could do the top right, the bottom left, the top left, also the size of it. There's a comfy size and a compact size. So depending on how you want those notifications to show up and which notifications are you actually getting. So you can control areas of what exactly do you want to be notified of. Now, of course, there are workflows that you can use to do this as well with some of these options, but just so you can see, when I keep scrolling down, I have this chats and channels, chat messages, notifications, where do I want those? At mentions, where do I want those to go? So just so you could see, you can make modifications as to, do you want to be notified? And if so, how do you want to be notified? And as you continue, there's meeting notification options, calendar, your presence. Presence is actually a very important part of using Microsoft Teams, by the way. By default, people know your availability based on your Outlook calendar. So make sure your Outlook calendar is set up appropriately with you being in meetings and things like that. Because when somebody looks at your actual Microsoft profile, they of course see the circle at the bottom right of it to let them know your availability. So are you busy? Is it, do not disturb? Are you just stepping away for a moment? Those kind of things you can actually change. Otherwise, it reads it directly from your calendar. But a lot of times, just so you know, if I have somebody walk in my office and my presence was set to be green because I'm available right now, I can quickly change that. And one of the ways you can change that is by going to your profile at the top right here in Teams. You can click on that and change it. Like right now, mine says busy because I'm in this meeting. If I go to where it says busy, I could say, do not disturb because somebody walked in, they maybe want to have a conversation and I don't want to be disturbed while we're talking. Or I could just say, I'll be right back. And I can even put in a status as to when am I going to be back? I could say, ran to get coffee, be back in 15 minutes, whatever the case might be. Macy and I were talking before we got started about hybrid workers and, some people having to go back into work. I do work remotely, but I remember when I worked corporate and I would go to get coffee and turn this on, but I would say 15 minutes. Well, being in IT and being a support person, I would get stopped a million times on my way to get that cup of coffee. And then sometimes it would take me an hour to get back. But just so you know, you do have the capabilities of making those modifications. And I encourage you to do that. It just helps your coworkers or whoever you're communicating with to know, are you available right now? Because when it comes to using these other features in Microsoft Teams, like chatting, as an example, if I go to the chat on the left-hand side, if I go to send a chat to somebody, are they even available right now? I will know if they are. So like if I go to this chat based on this student one, I can see this person isn't even logged in. When I look at their profile circle, they were last seen Saturday. They're not even logged in right now. I can see that based on it's got a circle with an X. That's a notification letting me know that they're not even logged in. So am I going to send a chat to them right now? This is kind of one of those advanced features. What if I want to get the chat written, but this person's not even available? I can still go ahead and write the chat, because I don't know if you're the same way I am, but if I think of something right now, I don't want to table it till later. I'm going to forget. So I want to do it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do this chat, even though this person's not available. So could you send me the files for the lawyer training we are doing next week? Whatever it is that I need to say to that person, I can go ahead and type it in. Now, I could look to see when they're going to be available next. When are they expected to be back? But if I know that this person is actually gone today, they're going to be back in tomorrow, because maybe they also had a notification they're out of office, whatever. I could actually delay the delivery of this chat. That to me is a really great feature, because I want to get it off my plate. I want to have it done, and I want it to go when it's convenient. One way to do that, right click on the send button at the bottom right of the chat. From there, you can choose when do you want to send it and what time do you want to send it. So I could say I want to send it tomorrow at 9 a.m. Then I click continue. I finish out the chat because maybe I needed to do some other things to it. I need to attach a file or do whatever. Then I'm going to click send. It's going to wait until that date and time and send it. So I don't know if you do that delay delivery option in Outlook, but you can be doing that here, and you can be doing it in a post. So it basically works the same with a post. Now, there was another way that I could have actually delayed that delivery, just so you're aware of this. If I create a chat and I want to delay the delivery, besides right clicking on the send button, you can go to the plus icon, and from that pop-up, you could say set delivery options. Just so you know, you do have an alternative to doing that. So sometimes I want things to go when it's more convenient, or when I want them to know that information. When do I want to ask the question, or whatever the case is, depending on, of course, where I am and what I'm using. So anyway, when I go to this plus, also when I'm talking about the chat feature here in Teams, I just wanted to mention the fact that we also have this, sorry, I meant to say before, for the delayed delivery, it's called schedule message. I said that wrong. Sorry about that. But what I did also want to show you is the set delivery options. If you go into the set delivery options, standard is what it sends your chat as by default, but you could send it as a high importance. It will show up with a red exclamation mark. Or if this was something you're urgently trying to get a hold of somebody, you can mark it as urgent. Urgent will notify the person with a banner pop up at the bottom right of their screen and an email. Every 2 minutes, that banner is going to pop up to try and get their attention. It will do that for 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes, it doesn't do it anymore. Just so you're aware, it does stop after that time period. Otherwise, it will stop once the person replies to the message. So just so you know, there's some additional options. My recommendation is, especially if you're a little bit newer to doing chatting within Microsoft Teams or using any other features in Microsoft Teams, go to the icons. That's what they're there for, is for you to have additional tools to use, and you won't know what they are unless you click on them. So be curious. Okay, so lots of cool things we can do down here, even, which I use all the time, rewrite with Copilot. It's the little star icon. They're replacing a lot of places. They're replacing the icon for Copilot with the actual stars. You'll see that if you go to Excel, you click on a cell and it shows a little star icon now for Copilot. But just so you know, Copilot can also be here to help you write a chat. So I have some executives that I chat with, which is kind of strange to me because, I'm back in the IBM days of, I had to wear a suit back in the day when I first started in IT over 30 plus years ago. And I didn't, I would never have dreamt that I would ever chat or text with somebody in his executive position. I really kind of was old school and, it was always email. That was our form of communication. But I got to tell you, a lot of times I'm using Copilot right here in chat because I wanted to help me write it so that I make sure that I'm saying it correctly, even though it is more of an informal conversation, depending on who I'm chatting with, I want to make sure that it's accurate. So if you're a Copilot user, a Copilot license user, you will have that feature available as well. I won't go into all the details with chatting, but boy, I got to tell you, chatting is one of those options that to me is extremely popular. It is a lot of times what people start with. So they start with using chat to start using Copilot. Macy, did somebody have a question for us?
Yes, they're wondering they don't have Copilot, so are there other
Okay.
options around that?
Unfortunately, not within the application. So if you're not a Copilot licensed user here in Microsoft, you won't see the Copilot icon and you will not have access to it. There is a free version of Copilot that you can actually be using, but it would not be connected to your 365 account. But you could go to that app, the free app, compose your, have it help you write the chat and then copy and paste it into Teams. So that would be a workaround without having a paid license. Okay. Um, I still love Copilot regardless, but I love the built in. For me, it's more than worth the price of admission, so to say, to have Copilot because of all the integration we have and the other capabilities that we have within Copilot being connected to our 365 app and its security. I got to throw that in there because not all AI tools are secure with the information that you're putting out there. So if I'm sharing a file and things like that, I have to make sure it's not a confidential file because they share that information back to the public. But anyway, that's another whole nother session, a whole nother day. But I just absolutely love the chatting capabilities that we have built into Microsoft Teams. Now, by the way, when I was talking about the menu bar on the left-hand side, also known as the navigation pane, and I was talking about the chat separated from Teams, did you know you can rearrange those icons? You can have these icons on the left be in any order that you want them to be. Click and drag them around. Put them in the order that is more comfortable for you. So if you do a lot of chatting and you want that to be at the top, or if it's more convenient for you to have it towards the middle, move it where it's most convenient for you. Not everybody likes to go to the top left. Most of the time I'm in the middle, so I want my more popular things to be in the middle. Rearrange it for what works best for you. Also, when we're talking about that navigation on the left-hand side, if you want to have access to other applications directly here through Teams, because my habit, I know we all have habits, good habits, bad habits, we all have habits, but my habit is to open up Outlook, I open up Teams, I open up Copilot. Those are my three apps that I go to all the time, all day long. So I want some things to be very convenient for me to get to. If you go to the view more apps on the left-hand side, the dot, 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 you can add in other applications to be available directly here through Teams. I use Planner a lot in Teams, not just in Teams, but as an application. So usually that's pinned to my navigation pane, so I have quick, easy access to it. So if I just click Planner, it's going to open the Planner app here in Teams. If I want to keep it on the left-hand side, I can right-click the icon and left-click on Pin, and it'll automatically pin that app to be available all the time while I'm here in Teams. You want this app to be working with you, not against you. So make those customizations that are necessary for the way you work. So rearrange the icons, add icons, remove icons, put things together the way you want to use those. Okay. So definitely use the chat feature. To me, that's an absolutely wonderful option to use. Go into your settings, make those kind of changes as well. But I do want to talk a little bit about Microsoft Teams itself. So we are in this application called Microsoft Teams. Inside Microsoft Teams is another object called Teams. So I don't know why Microsoft couldn't come up with a different name for one of them. But anyway, if I go to the Teams icon from the menu bar on the left, you of course will be able to see all of the current teams that you are a part of, whether you are an owner, a member, or a guest. So when we talk about these teams, this is a way that we can collaborate by sharing files, sharing apps, communicating by chatting. That is how we can communicate with a specific group of people. But the thing that I want you to understand is if you have the rights to create a new team, don't just come out here and create the new team, which, by the way, how do you do that? When you're in Teams, go to the top of the left-hand side of the menu, click on this down arrow for new items. And from here, you could do a new message, new channel, you could do a new team, you can join a team. Look at all these new items. But if you want to create a new team, this is now where it's located at, just so you're aware. But I would never just come out here and just create a new team. I don't want to have any duplication, so I want to make sure that there isn't already a team available. I plan before I build. I need to understand what type of team it is that I'm creating. What's the objective of the team? What channels am I going to need inside the teams? What members do I need? Who else needs to have access to this team? And are we going to be sharing files? Are we going to be sharing other apps? What other things do we want available within these teams? So you definitely want to plan first. So if you have your handout open, by the way, bottom of page 4, beginning of page 5 is talking about teams and channels. This is a very important, wonderful feature that is a part of Microsoft Teams. And I don't know if everybody really takes full advantage of what you can really do in a team. So you're going to name the team to be appropriate for what it is. You can put in a description when you create it, or whoever creates it. And that's really kind of the objective of the team, is the description. Because when you invite people to be a part of the team, whether they're going to have the role of an owner where they have full rights, they are a member, or they're a guest. Guests are automatically added if they are an external user outside of your domain of your company. But anyway, we organize the information inside channels. So make sure that you have appropriate channels for the team you're in. I'm not going to, if I'm in the accounting, like right now I'm in this accounting department team, I'm not going to put something that's marketing related inside the accounting team. I could have a separate channel just for marketing. Unless it's directly related, of course, to accounting, which probably it won't, but you want to have appropriate things inside your teams so that everybody knows that this is where I go for accounting information. And if it's directly related to accounts payable, I know I'm going to that specific channel. Now, when it comes to these channels, though, plan the channels you're going to need in this team, which, by the way, I don't invite people until I have some of this built. And that's a mistake a lot of people did, especially when we first started with Teams, is that they would invite people right away. They're getting a notification that, hey, you're invited to this team, but there's really nothing out there for them to even use. So make sure that you kind of think about that. Invite people after you have some of it built. But the thing about these channels is there are regular channels that everybody will have access to, but you can also create what are called private channels. I have a private channel in this accounting department called managers. Only specific people that are a part of this team can even see or get to the manager's channel. The owners of the team can dictate who has access to that specific channel. There's also a channel type that is called shared. I have this shared channel in this accounting department team called tax info. This tax info is shared with an outside person that is a part of taxes. They don't need access to anything else in the team itself. They just need access to that channel. I can share an individual channel. Okay. So just so you're using the appropriate option depending on what it is that you need. If you have some, sensitive information that you want to have available to some of the team members, but not everybody, use a private channel. That's going to be the answer to that solution. Now, also, you want to be thinking about the icons, I should say tabs, sorry, the tabs you're going to have in each channel. By default, when a channel is created, there's going to be a post tab and a files tab, which, by the way, in your handouts on page 5, it talks about how Teams and SharePoint are connected, just so everybody is aware of this. Every time a new team is created, a SharePoint site is created also. SharePoint, of course, is one of Microsoft 365 apps that is a web-based app. Of course, Teams can be web-based also, but SharePoint is strictly a web-based application now. It's called SharePoint Online these days, where we have the ability to be able to have the full power of SharePoint behind the actual team. Microsoft Teams is a front-end program for our team to collaborate. SharePoint is the background of where everything is really housed. So when we go to a channel and we have the post tab and we have the file tab, the file tab is a document library available within the SharePoint site and of course available here in Microsoft Teams. So the post tab that you get by default is where you can chat with the members of that channel. So whoever is a part of the channel, you can have chat conversations going back and forth with that group of people based on the subject of whatever the name of the channel is. We also can go to the Files tab, where when you are in the Files tab, you will have access to all the files that you want to have available for that group of people, those team members, based on the name of the channel. So in here, my accounts payable channel, all of the files in this Files tab are directly related to accounts payable. This way, everybody knows where their files are going to be located at. I could go to SharePoint to access these files. I could also come here to Microsoft Teams. Now, of course, we're not doing document management training today, but I could also go to File Explorer. I could go to OneDrive. We have a lot of ways to access these files, but just so you realize that the background of using Microsoft Teams is SharePoint. So they are fully connected. Now, why is that important for you to understand? Well, for a lot of reasons, but to keep it kind of simple, you want to understand what's happening behind the scenes. So when you go in and create a new team, as I said, a new SharePoint site is created. If I go to a file tab inside any of my channels, I can go to any of my files and do a right click or click the ... menu. And from here, you're going to see all of these different options that we have available that you can use to manage this file. So just to point out a couple of things, there is, of course, you could share the file, you can download it, you can rename it, you could cut copy, you could move it. You get all those standard things, but you also have automate. We have automate capabilities that are strong capabilities with being able to go to flows and be able to access flows that have been written already to help us to manage our files, like using this feature called request sign off. This is a built-in workflow that we have available with cloud-based files, which of course these files are cloud-based when they're shared within Microsoft Teams, which in the background is SharePoint. Macy, did we have a question before I move on? Oops, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
How do you get your team sidebar to show all of your teams and channels?
So good question. So when you're looking at that left-hand side, what you can do, you can rearrange things and do things a little bit differently over here. But when you're looking at your teams on this left-hand side, your most active teams are the ones that are going to be showing up. You can expand and collapse by clicking on the name of the team. So you could see I was just shrinking these up, clicking on the name of the team, or you have your arrow on the left-hand side. But down at the very bottom, see all your teams is going to show you every team that you have available that you're a part of, whether you're an owner, a member, or a guest. But you do have the capability when you're in this window to also go to teams you own. So if you only want to see the ones that you specifically own, you could do that. Or under this three more, depending on your screen resolution, teams with channels that are hidden, teams with channels that are shown, or archive teams are options that you can open and close as well. So if I happen to go to teams with hidden channels, if I had some of the channels that were actually hidden by me right clicking on them and hiding them, I would be able to see any of those from here. So sometimes it's a good idea really to come in and see this is all the channels and the teams that you have accessible. Now, the first thing I should have asked though is that person still combined together with chat? If so, they may want to do that separate so that teams is separate because we have better control over what is happening with those teams. By the way, under this category called teams and channels, if I go to the more options for all of my teams and channels, I have a display option. So if I go to where it says teams and channels, go to that menu, display options, teams and channels, or do you just want to see the channels only? You also can hide inactive channels, which is what happens by default, by the way. So if you have teams and channels that you don't use regularly, they're actually going to be hidden. But I can also access my teams and channels through here too. But I hope that helped with a couple of different features. Okay. But back to our accounts payable channel within my accounting department team. If I go to the files tab and I do that right click on a file, I had that automate feature that is available. This is a strong SharePoint feature that because this is a SharePoint document library, we have this built in. If you have not used any automated workflows that are available through Microsoft Teams, this is one that I use regularly because what if I have a file that I need to send to somebody to have them review it and approve or reject it? I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works real quick here. I'm going to click this request sign off because I feel that this is something that everybody should understand how to use. But what it's going to do is on the right-hand side, it's going to open up a pane that I can create that workflow. It isn't something that I create from scratch. It's already created. We basically fill in the blanks and then run the flow. It's called an instant flow where it's automatically going to run. But who do I want to send this to have them approve it? I'm going to put in myself so you can see the full action. I would put in the message that I want them to see, like, please review this file, blah, blah, blah. Then down at the bottom, I'm just going to basically click run flow. It's going to send that person two notifications, one in Teams and one in Outlook, letting them know with a link to the file, letting them know I want them to review it. In a second, I will get a notification in my activities category here in Teams showing me the workflow and giving me access to the file and the ability to approve or reject the file itself. So let's say that this is a file that they're going to actually be sending out to a bunch of people and they need to have it reviewed first. So notice I got this new notification on the left-hand side in activity. If I go there, I'm on this Jolynn sent you a request. Notice the icon on the left. This is actually the icon for the approvals app that is built into your 365 suite of applications. On the right-hand side, it shows me all of the history of this approval. So it was requested by Jolynn at this date and time. It's pending response right now because I haven't responded to it yet. I can go to the attachment, review the file, but then I can come back in here after I review the file. I can come in here and add any notes that I want to send back to the person, put in comments. This is good after you change the date to today. I won't correct my spelling, but then I can click approve or reject. The great part about this is it's a workflow. Therefore, the person will get a notification back, letting them know you approved or rejected it. I'm getting a banner notification on my other monitor. I'm getting an email. I'm getting a notification here in Teams letting me know that that was approved. So now you can see I've got my final status here in my activity showing me that it was approved. And it was showing me the window on the right-hand side of the approvals app. But when I click on it, it automatically is showing me here's the who approved it and the date and time that they approved it and the comment that they put back to me. So just so you could see, that is an option for you to use that is built in to Microsoft Teams. When you are in a file tab of a team. But back to the teams, to this channel again. Besides having the post tab, the files tab, you can also have a notes tab. The notes tab is going to be a shared OneNote notebook that everyone that's a part of that channel can put notes in there to do brainstorming or keep track of whatever notes it is that everybody has. But it's a shared notebook available for everybody because everything that's in this channel is automatically shared with everyone. But what if we wanted a new tab to be able to share information with people? Think about what is it that everybody needs access to that is directly related to the name of the channel. So I'm in accounts payable. If I go to the tabs at the top on the right-hand side, click the plus sign. This will show me every app that I have available that I could add to this team. So if I want to add a new planner where we're going to have a shared task list, I want to add a link to a website, to a SharePoint site, whatever the case would be, I choose the app I want to have shared. Macy, did we have another question?
Yes, they would like
Good.
to know what happens if there's no response on the workflow. Someone sends it and the recipient doesn't respond.
What a great question. We can always go back and resend it. We would be utilizing the approvals app, which by the way, can be pinned on the left-hand side or access there. There's a few different ways to access it, but we can always resend it. Okay, but just so you're aware, the notifications that they actually got was a banner notification at the bottom. They got an email and they got notified in Teams. So technically they did get notified in 3 different places. But yes, if they don't respond in a timely manner, we can go ahead and resend it. But just so you can see, if you wanted to add any other tabs to the channel for sharing information with your group of people, here's where you could do that. You click on the one you want to do, and then it will automatically create it. Now, I'm just going to close that because I have a lot of tabs that I want to mention that are already here. I have this one called AP Tasks. If I click on that, this is actually a shared planner. So Microsoft Planner, of course, is a part of your 365 suite of applications, but this would be a shared task list that we could be utilizing with the team members directly related to accounts payable. So if we're working on some things with accounts payable, we need to do some follow-up, whatever the case might be, we can be putting those tasks directly here. But just to show you, I also have where it says fill safety quiz. If I click on that, this is actually going to open a form. So we could even have a Microsoft form be a tab within a channel if it's directly related to that channel. I also have this one called Issue Tracker. This is actually a Microsoft list. So I added a list where we could have a way to track and organize information, which also allows some wonderful workflows as well. So we could do a whole session just on lists because it's a pretty cool application. But just so you know, this is something that you could have as a tab within your team. So you want to be thinking about what are the things that I need to share with the team members based on the current channel that I'm in. Each channel can have different tabs. So like if I go to the channel called business expenses, I'm going to have different tabs. These are going to be tabs directly related to business expenses. It's not going to be related to accounts receivable, etc. It would be directly related this way. So just so you're aware of that, they have different options, which for us is fantastic. But there's more to this that I want to talk about. You might be already familiar with the fact that, yes, we can have a team, we can have a channel, we can have these tabs, but they're not going to sit here forever. This is something that you regularly need to maintain. If you look at the tabs at the top of a channel, you can maintain those by right-clicking on the tab. We can't do anything with post or files. Those are there permanently. We can't manage those. But if I go to this BE task, business expense task, that's a planner. If I right click the tab, I can open it in a new window, the browser, I can copy a link to it, I can rename it, I can move it left or right because I can rearrange my tabs, or I could remove it. So we manage the object by right clicking on the object. Now, of course, depending on which one it is, you might get different choices when you right click on it. Okay, but pretty standard for the ones we can manage. But the files tab, the post tab, I can't right click on because we can't make any changes to those. But we also need to maintain our channels. If you go to a channel, like right now I'm on my business expenses, which by the way, when I hesitate on the name of it, it tells me it's a standard channel. Notice when I'm on managers, it tells me it's private. If I'm on tax info, it tells me it's shared. So I know information about it just by being there. Let's say that I want to manage the manager's channel. I need to make a change to it. I want to add a member or whatever the case would be. I can go to the dot, dot, dot menu or right click it. Right click is kind of your common theme of how you can access things, or the dot, dot, dot. But because it's a channel, you have the ability of changing the notifications for any of your channels. If you choose channel notifications, notify me for all new posts, that's off by default. If you want to get a notification letting you know if there's a new post in the post tab, you could say show inactivity, show an activity and banner. Banner notifications are the ones that pop up at the bottom right, by the way. Activity is referring to the activities category on the left-hand side. So just so you know, you can turn that on and off. Also follow new threads. I can turn that on. I'm going to go ahead and click save. If anything happens in that channel, I'll get the notifications. What we used to have to do was create workflows to do that. Now we can have it set up directly through that channel itself. But other things that you can do to manage a channel when you right click is you can say show in. Show in allows you, let's say that I have a channel that I'm working on regularly right now, I can actually add it to a section in my favorites category. We have a kind of a group called favorites. I have this favorites group here called PM for project management. And maybe I want this channel to show up in that section, that favorites. I could put it in that section, or if I want it just to appear within my favorites up at the top here on this menu, because I use it regularly and I don't want to navigate to it a different way, I could say favorites. So now my business expenses for my accounting department team is in my category for favorites. Makes it so much easier for me to get to it because I'm working on it regularly. And if you right click on the channel again, you could hide it. What if that's a channel that you don't use very regularly? It's not like some of the other channels that you're in all the time. You could actually hide the channel so you don't have to see it, because why take up space if you don't need it? You can remove it from the section if it's part of favorites or part of a new section like PM. You can edit the channel. If I click edit the channel, I could change the name, I could change the description, and the layout. Channel owners can change this at any time. We have this new threads option instead of posts. So just so you can see what this looks like, I'm going to choose threads. It looks like chat with replies on the side, just like a normal chat does. I'm going to click save. Once that's done saving, now instead of it saying posts at the top, it now says conversation. So if you choose threads, this is a newer feature in Teams, it will now say conversation. And it's going to show it like a chat. What they reply, you put in, it's going to do the same thing like a chat does. So just so you know, that is an option, as opposed to this is what the normal post looks like. People can go in and reply to it, etc. It says posts. But once again, if I change that to be thread, it's going to say conversations, and it looks more like a chat conversation as opposed to a post. Totally up to you how you want it to look. But back to right clicking on a channel for a moment, I can also go into this manage channel. When I come into manage channel, up at the top, I have settings and analytics. If I go in, I could edit different information related to that, even the connections that we have with that specific channel. And on the analytics tab, I can get a rundown of active users, meeting engagements, things like that. Just so you're aware of the fact that we could do that. Also, when you right click, it does have built-in workflow options. So if you want to create a workflow directly related to a channel, you can access those workflows directly from here as well. But I think, to me, one of the most important management features when we're talking about teams, inside teams, is managing the team itself. If you create a new team, or some companies, the IT department creates the team and then you're set up as an owner so that you can add channels and different things. When a team is added, a lot of people don't realize what happens by default. So let me show you an example. I'm going to go to this PM test site. I'm going to do a right click on this. I'm going to right click on the name of my team or go to the ... menu. And from here, I'm going to choose this option called Manage Team. Before I invite people to be a part of a team, this is where I go. So up at the top of the right-hand side, it has channels, members, pending requests, etc. These are the different categories. Right now I'm on channels. This is not only where I could create a new channel, but I could manage the channel itself. So you could see at the right-hand side, if I wanted to add a new channel to this team, I could click the add button. I could then name the channel, choose the layout I wanted to have. Do I want it to be posts or threads, which is conversation? What type of channel do I want it to be? All of that can be done. Now, I'm not really going to do that, but just so you know, I could from here. But the big part for me is members. It is shocking to me how when we create a team, I swear everybody invites everybody right away because we planned it out and we said, okay, these are the people I want to invite to this team. We will have all this list of all these different members and guests. You could come back in and modify this. You could add people. So when I am done creating my team, I come in and I can add people. I can make people who are a member become an owner become a member. But just so you know, guests cannot become an owner or a member. They would have to be part of your domain. So this is where you could manage those people. But the settings tab is highly recommended that before you invite people, go to settings. One of the things is the team's detail, where you could edit the image that is being used for that team. Doesn't have to stay the color, the abbreviation that you get with that cute little icon. You could do your own. But the big part is member permissions. If you go to member permissions, every one of these boxes is checked by default. If you read through this list, when you add people to a team, they can create and update channels. Also, members can create private channels that maybe you're not even a part of. Allow members to delete and restore channels. Do you want your members to be able to delete a channel? Ugh, that's a red flag to me, but Just so you know, they could do these by default. They could add or remove apps. They could add, they can also upload custom apps. Just look at all these. To me, this is scary. I don't want my team members to be able to do all of this. They just are a part of the team. They're not here to help me manage the team. Owners should do that. So anyway, for me, I come in and uncheck everything but the last two. So I would uncheck all of these other ones. I would leave these last two, give members the option to delete their message, give members the option to edit their message. So if they put a chat or post in the channel, I'm okay if they edit, or if they delete it, it's their chat. I'm okay with that. But I don't want them to be able to upload custom apps, add or remove apps. Think about the things that you want them to be able to do or not be able to do. They're not an owner. I don't want them to be managing the team. That's for the owners. But that's a personal preference based on your needs. But also, you have guest permissions. If we allowed members to do these kind of things, just so you could see, if I go back and I have these items checked, if I say it's okay for members to be able to do this, some of these options guests would be able to do. I could say allow guests to be able to create and update channels. Remember, these are people from outside your organization. Do you want them to be able to delete channels? If a member can, we could allow guests to be able to do that also. I personally would not do that, but just so you know, these are things that are set by default. Most people don't realize that. So we get this team created, we start adding people in, and it's amazing to me how many times I've had people come back and say, "What happened to that channel?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm the owner, but I'm not sure what happened to that channel." Of course, I can go in to manage the team and I'll see that the channel's been deleted, and I can restore it up to 90 days after it was deleted, but we shouldn't allow members to do that really. But just so you know, they could, but it's up to you to manage those. So we need to maintain our teams, our channels, and our tabs. Right click, make the necessary changes so that things are going to be running smoothly. If we have apps people aren't using, the tabs, if we have channels people aren't using, you can always remove them. Add things that we currently need, because the needs of the team will change as we continue to use them. They're not going to stay exactly the way that they were when we first created them. So the needs will change. So make the necessary changes as you go through. But there's a lot more to Microsoft Teams besides chatting. If you have not already used the feature called calls, I just used it yesterday. I was actually in a meeting with another account, logged into another account, and I got an incoming call, and it showed up on the bottom right of my screen, and it was a Teams call. A Teams call is great because what if you're doing a chat back and forth with someone and you think, you know what, I just want to talk to the person. I want to maybe share my screen with the person. I don't call them on my mobile. I don't call them on a desk phone. I call them through Microsoft Teams, because the great part about that is the fact that through a Teams call, it's being tracked, which is great. We could have a chat going on during that call. We could be sharing files. We could be sharing our screen. We can record the call. There's a lot to this capability of doing calls. We even have the capability of setting up a voicemail. So you know how your Outlook can have an out of office? So can your Teams. So if somebody tries to call you and you're out of the office, they can get a message through Teams letting them know that you're out of the office. It's amazing what we can do. But I use these calls all the time. Now, I don't have to go to calls to call somebody. I can call somebody through Outlook, through Teams, through the calendar. Wherever I see someone's profile circle, I can call them. So if I'm looking at student one and I want to call this person, I just hesitate on their profile circle. Now, of course, this person isn't even logged in, so I wouldn't call them, but you could see I've got this phone receiver icon. So wherever you see someone's profile circle, hesitate on it. If you do the video camera, it's going to automatically have your computer camera turned on. But you get the same features. We can turn on and turn off the camera as needed, because if I'm sharing my screen, they don't always need to see me. But those are the huge things that I really like about the call capabilities. So you can make a call from wherever you're at. Plus, here in Microsoft Teams on the left-hand side, we have access to our OneDrive. So I don't have to jump through hoops to get to my files that are a part of my OneDrive. I can directly access those here in Teams. So when I open up OneDrive, you can see on the left-hand side, I've got all these different categories, including this quick access category, which allows me to access my document libraries available through my channels, through my SharePoint site. So if I go to this one called Clinic Legal Documents, it's opening up the document library that is a part of Teams and a part of SharePoint. But I don't have to go to SharePoint or go to Teams and Teams to access it. If I'm already here in OneDrive, I have access to all of that right here, including here's that accounting department. If I want to go to the accounts receivable, I can click on that directly here through OneDrive. So we have this full integration of being able to use other apps through Microsoft Teams. We can have the apps pinned on the left-hand side and have access to those. We can have them as a tab inside a team. But Teams is a lot more than just a standard chat back and forth. There's a lot that goes on inside a team, inside a channel of a team that we can utilize as well. And of course, you have your meetings, which we didn't cover today, but meetings is unbelievable. The capability we have in the calendar, which is now the new calendar is directly linked, which it was before, but it's even better. They work the same now from Outlook to Teams, minus the Teams capabilities at the top right, where we could be creating things like webinars, town halls, virtual appointments, etc. We don't get those capabilities directly in Outlook, unique to Microsoft Teams. But it is amazing how we can modify the view of our calendar. We can be looking at multiple calendars at one time, just like we do in our Outlook calendar. It's pretty great that we have this same look and feel going from one Microsoft application to another. So that full connectivity between our apps. So Macy, let's bring it back to you. Did we have any other follow-up questions before we finish for our session today?
It doesn't look like we have any questions in the inbox right now, but if anybody has any last minute questions that you want to drop in there, you can go ahead and do so now. Okay, I'm not seeing any come through. I'll keep an eye on it as we wrap up, but we just wanted to thank everybody for attending today. And thank you, of course, to JoLynn for providing us with your expertise on Teams. We do have an upcoming webinar in November, so we will send out registration for that about a month ahead of time. So stay tuned for the details on that. And then we did actually just have one question come through. She would like to know, how do you delete a document in OneDrive?
What a great question. Whether you're in OneDrive, and let me show you exactly what I'm referring to. So if I go back here to Microsoft Teams, let me go to OneDrive on the left-hand side. Let's say that I'm in my Files category right here. If I go to a file, like let's say I go to this specific file. If I go into this list of files, whether I'm in OneDrive, I'm in SharePoint, I'm in Teams, it doesn't matter where. When you right click or go to the ... menu, you will see your delete option, which by the way, I can be in File Explorer and do the same thing. But the thing about this is when you delete a file from OneDrive, do you know where it actually goes? There, it has its own recycle bin. And so do the File tab in Teams, because it's a SharePoint document library. So all SharePoint document libraries and OneDrive actually have a recycle bin. It's located here on the left-hand side. So if I delete this file by clicking delete, It's going to say, are you sure you want to delete it? It's going to tell you it's going to the recycle bin. So over here on the left-hand side, I could always go back to that and restore it if I needed to. So if I accidentally delete something, select the file, click restore from the recycle bin, just like the trash can on your desktop of Windows, you get the same features in OneDrive and in a document library. Good question.
One more question just came through, and they wanted
Yes.
to know the difference between SharePoint and OneDrive. Aren't they both cloud storage?
Yes, they are. That's something that they do have shared is the ability that it is cloud-based, which of course means that you can access it from anywhere on an internet browser. But the difference is going to be one drive means one person. It is specifically your drive. Nobody else has access to it. It's just like your C drive on your computer, but it's cloud-based. Nobody else has access to your C drive on your computer. SharePoint means we want to share the files with others. So it's automatically being shared based on who's an owner, member, or a guest of the SharePoint site itself. That was a great question.
Okay, I think that is all we have time for. Jolynn, thank you so much again, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you. Thanks, Macy.
Thank you.